I'm Chairman Orlov.
Morning, everyone, and thank you for our Valley County Commissioner meeting on February 10th. I would ask all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I think we need to start having Neil sing America the Beautiful, but
Yeah,
that was great yesterday.
that'll run everybody out of here, I guarantee you.
So I do know that there's a change to the agenda. Our 1:30 Tamarack update is being taken off. I've asked Brian Oakey to come in and continue our education and training session that we started last week regarding the new Supreme Court cases on planning and zoning law. So if you guys are okay with that.
Yep.
And I would go ahead and make a motion, or I would accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with the noted changes.
Okay. So moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Morning, Rita.
Morning.
I only had the one question, and I think it's a question for Jeremy, I think. There is still, Neil, your phone is still showing. You're not using a county phone anymore, correct? Okay, so
Nope.
I think we just need Jeremy to clarify whose phone that is, or if it's still being used.
I think they hold them on a bank of numbers, so that those numbers are available.
Okay? Does that get charged to IT, or does that get charged to the commissioners, or who does that
I would have to look.
get? Will you look into that and just make sure that we're not paying for something we don't need?
Yeah, because I turned that in. I think Dan actually ended up with my phone.
Might need a different name on it then, and correct department, just clarifying.
Which would be different coding, but if nobody tells me, I don't know.
Yep.
That's why I'm bringing it up, just to make sure. Did you guys have any other claims or any other questions on the claims?
I didn't.
You don't have any questions?
Oh, no, I looked through all of them. I was good with it.
So,
I'll make a motion that we accept the claims, board orders, and junior college tuitions, which I don't think we had one, for February 10th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Director Derek, you are up next.
Man, this is a dangerous place to be today.
On your phones, it shows you have
It's
two,
signed,
but I clarified you have one.
yeah,
Tony
there's
has
one over.
correct?
Correct.
Oh, I forgot. I'm supposed to wait until I sign all this. I'll give us enough time.
This one's easier. You got your name there.
Eventually, I'll remember it all, maybe.
You guys are all out of order.
Oh, well.
They are?
For signing.
That's our worst word. I'm pretty good.
All right, well, point to the right spots for you.
Well, I was adamant about putting the chairman in the middle.
I'll bet you were.
Elt wanted to sit all the way over there. It didn't work.
Get me easier. All right, Annette, we're ready.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're in our slow time. We're still getting some inspections. It's just a typical winter. We've issued 10 permits so far though. I can't compare them to last year because we don't have the CAI. And Tyler's not accurate. So, but we've got like a presentation. I believe it's on the 27th for another program.
The CAI is all of your historical data, and we were working to retain that, correct?
Yes.
What is the conversation, or do I need to talk to Jeremy about that?
Jeremy has done some where we put in certain stuff, we can find, an address, or he's not fully finished with it.
So he's still working on it. So we should still get that data.
I hope so. I can't say for sure, but I hope so.
I'll ask some questions on that one.
Yeah, it's feeling like it, at least on our end, from contractor's perspective, it's shaping up to be a slow year.
You think?
It's everybody out, in the field that are talking. So we'll see how it goes on your end.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got some phone calls and some planned in, so we just, how it goes this time of the year, we won't know for a bit.
That might be good if we're gonna move you down to a new building, not to have such a hectic summer.
Yeah, we'll see. That's
And
all we
you
can
are
do.
prepping all of your documents and files and everything else to make that happen.
Yeah, we've been scanning a lot.
Okay, good.
We've packed up some stuff. We're
Okay.
getting ready.
How are we on track? Is Maritidal still on track for leaving on the end? Do we know yet? End of this month?
Haven't heard anything different, so, yeah, I think so. Yeah, their
Interesting.
building's almost done down there, so yeah, they should be good anyway.
When do you, what is your idea of maybe moving?
No
We
idea.
don't know yet. Okay.
No, we just hired the architect to do the construction drawings. And so they're in the middle of the construction drawings right now. We'll have to bid it, before we even get going and hire a general. So, at this point, I'm not very excited, or I'm not very hopeful, but
We may want
it's
to
even gonna be
follow up on that and push them a little bit.
July, it might be fall.
I would rather it be fall.
Oh, we just hired the architect on it 2 weeks ago.
Well, he's had 2 weeks.
Go for it.
In my world, it's like, get it done.
Cameron's the one in charge. You go for it.
I know Cameron real well.
Make a phone call.
No, we don't got a lot going on. We're doing lots of scanning, doing related work. That's all I got. All
right, thank you.
Anybody? Okay,
Got
thank
two
you.
of these. Are these different?
Director Phillips, good morning.
I was just here last week, so I have tons to update. After I left here, I probably started getting sick, so I was sick from like Tuesday, Thursday on and worked from home, still recovering. So this week's gonna be all about cleaning up whatever I missed. I do have a little Boise trip this week for reintegration as well as Juvenile Justice Council. And then I think I'm homebound for the next month and a half, 2 months. I'm pretty excited about that. I don't have to go anywhere. But I am going to share that last week I did host a training. It was a 2-hour training for drug trends through the Idaho Juvenile Justice Association. It was virtual. Did it from my house because no one wanted me in the office. 168 folks throughout the state attended. We had a staging area at the courthouse annex for any of the school folks that wanted to come and watch it. And so we had a handful of folks join us there. Something just important to remember, and I brought this information to you. We locally, probably about, I want to say last summer, I purchased a bunch of drug tests that are called trendy drugs or drug trends or emerging drug trends for testing. These are things that are not necessarily illegal to have, but it is still, when abused, it mimics a lot of the same stuff that you see with opiates as well as marijuana. So, such as something that we see a lot around here is the use of kratom. Kratom has, in some respects, some good uses, but then when abused, it can look like a severe opiate addiction or methamphetamine or something like that because it's for pain. So
I don't even know
anyway,
what
it
that
tests.
is. Is that a prescription drug?
It is
What
not.
is that?
You can go to the grocery. You can go to a like a smoke shop and buy them there. If I tell you the names of these, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing them on posters everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like kratom, gabapentin. What are some of the ones that you'll see?
Is that what you have in your hand there? Is that,
This is a UA cup. So anyway, just brought it if you wanted to look at it. But there's over-the-counter things that look just like psilocybin, which is mushrooms, which are usually hard to test. So especially kids really like the mushrooms because they don't think they're testable. Same with our adults. So this covers LSD. This covers the mushrooms. This covers kratom. This covers, I've got, I think, 13 different substances that it covers that are
Wow.
a lot of them are legal and over the counter that you can buy. They're all synthetics because they're leafy substance that's sprayed with something. But you can purchase it just locally. Just like the spice years ago, you just can't keep up with the compounds. So they can't become illegal. So we see the kratom probably most up here because it's the easiest to get and it's pretty dang cheap. And all of our stores carry it. So anyway, it's always a good reminder of what's out there. You're always looking for the deepest, darkest, but when in fact it's the everyday stuff. You can grind up nutmeg and it's a drug of abuse. So
You're kidding me. If people would just spend their time on something
So something else.
instead of trying to
Indeed.
research what to put in their body.
indeed, and they're savvy and the kids are getting it as well. And for what it's worth, there is a new trend, even with fentanyl and carfentanil, that you can take things that exacerbate it, that make it even more so, because a lot of the users or abuser addictions folks, their bodies are getting used to it. So even that stuff is becoming almost, it's going to be more of a normal conversation. So there is another drug coming up that's worse than carfentanil and fentanyl.
Oh,
But
good.
it's called Trank.
Unbelievable.
Not that one.
Not that one?
No.
Sad.
Anyway.
Was it a meeting
We are a
last?
vacation spot. People come up here to let go and to let loose, and at least within our job, we have to understand it's here. Trafficking, any kind of trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, it's here. We would be naive if we did not keep ourselves up to date.
At a meeting a week ago, and The Rock was there, Steve, and I can't remember her name. But what a great job they do. And I was bragging on, just what our community has and the support we have for all of this work. And it's just not prevalent in other communities where they have this. So I'm just, so proud of our community and what
Indeed.
you've done to create this support
To
mechanism.
support
for these
recovery and to support that kind of
Creating awareness.
start that for your Monday morning. Sorry.
Well, this group is wanting to find some ways to do donations, do some fundraising work. And so maybe I had told them about Yak and VCOR, and the work that's out there with that. It sounds like The Rock doesn't accept donations. And so it's, anything you can think of, there's a group out there trying to do some fundraising work.
And it's all local. It's all local. I mean, they'd be at your place within 5 minutes, or if I have to go a little further, a whole half hour, But anybody that's in recovery or suffering or needs someone to talk to, we have them here that are willing to walk with you through everything, from filling out paperwork to giving you a ride to buying you lunch if you just need someone to talk to. That's really, really impressive work.
Happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Hamilton. Being very proficient today with titles. We are so sorry for your loss, first of all.
Thank you. I'm getting oriented back. So I have some meetings, continue with the Food Coalition. Prioritize that, and I think we need to recruit and market that program. I normally get 5 to 10 people in those garden classes. So the first class will be March 1st. We're going to have it at the Cascade Food Pantry. We rotate the Victory Garden series and the Master Gardener series from Cascade, McCall, to New Meadows. And it's every other year. And so we'll do Victory Garden series this year and then Master Gardener program next year. Whole farm planning, that is with the Cultivating Success program. And that program has launched. The first class happened not last week, but the week before, I think. And I offered to do the virtual statewide session for folks because we have in-person class Sandpoint. And I think the Caldwell folks are going up to Emmett. So we have used some in-person sessions, but for all the rest of the communities where people might not be able to travel that far to that area, I said I would host a virtual room. And so we do have one farmer from this area that's in that virtual space, along with some people from Nampa, which I think, yeah, so then it's just Emmett and Sandpoint that in-person class is happening. So that is a great opportunity for people to develop like a business plan. And if they take that course, they can get a certificate, which then qualifies them for an FSA loan. And so it's just really good steps for people to think through the process if they want to begin a farm. And there's an extension profession development book club that will be this week, and I'll be leading it, and I have not prepared for it. And so the next 2 days I'll be focusing on getting that presentation together for my peers. I'm continuing to work on annual reviews, wrapping that process up and developing rubrics for each position description. And so, those are some of the immediate things on my plate in the next couple of weeks, but advertise here specifically for commissioners or people that are on planning and zoning is University of Michigan is going to be doing the power of facilitation specifically around land use issues. And so it'll be a webinar that'll be a national webinar through Extension. And they've developed like a course in Michigan where they teach people facilitation, and it's specifically catered towards land use. And so that might be an interesting resource, and I can reshare that flyer. I think I shared it previously before I was on annual leave, but I'll share it again.
Don't remember seeing it, so
Okay.
yeah, if you would, and give me date and time.
Yep, it's next week on the 19th.
May not work. That might be why I ignored it.
Okay, well, I'm sure it'll get recorded, and then I can direct you guys to the recording.
That would be great.
So just getting settled back into the office. Any questions?
Look like you've had some of the 4-H guys going out for some classes. I think we covered some down in Caldwell.
Yeah,
They're
so
out training too.
this past weekend, there was 4-H new leaders or returning leaders training that was in Emmett, and they offered childcare if people needed it. And they could either do, I'm a beginning leader track, or they could do I'm a returning leader track. And there was a bunch of educators that were doing professional development opportunities for the 4-H leaders. And so that happened on Saturday. There's ION training, which is the Idaho Out of School Network. And so that's right around now. And then I was at my annual review and the district meeting, like not last week, but the week before.
Will you take back to Allison that the Fair Board's budget is due this month? It's to be published this month. So if she needs work also done at that fairgrounds, Scott needs to know now.
Okay,
So just take back to her that it's time to make sure she gets whatever she needs in place, but also the Fair Board.
Yeah, we got the Fair Board meeting on the 19th. So I'll be bringing that up to them then to fill in stuff for them. I noticed my wife got a letter from some kids about 4-H at the Capitol.
yeah. So that's a program that happens every year, and it's called Know Your Government, and it's catered towards like middle school to high school youth, and there's a certain amount of students that can go each year. And I believe we are sending 3 or 4 youth from Valley County, which is wonderful interest. It's a great opportunity for them to go down to Capitol Hill and learn all the different branches and have an overnight and have one-on-one conversations. And so it's a really great program.
Cool.
Yeah, Know Your Government.
I love that one. I don't know if they do anything like that locally, but they could always come to a commissioner meeting if they ever wanted to do that. So,
That'd be really neat follow-up.
You can buy us lunch. See?
or you can buy theirs. Thank you,
Yeah,
Melissa.
thanks.
Next up, Director Savoy.
Still smiling, must be all right.
Oh, yeah. Always smiling. Good morning. So just a couple of things for you this morning. Just a quick update on where we are with staffing. Good news, if you will, is I just started recruiting for our summertime seasonal positions. So the snow's going to be on its way out. So that's always, for those of us who are summer-minded individuals, I know that's a good news for.
Sounds like a groundhog update.
Right, exactly,
Love it.
exactly.
Good luck on
And we
that.
are getting applicants for them already. I've already got
Nice.
some marine deputy and weed and pest control technician applications already for those. So that's
Awesome.
good stuff there. We are also recruiting for a few other positions. We're looking for an administrative assistant for the road department. We're looking for a court clerk recruit for the clerk's office. And then a couple of time-honored favorites, we're always looking for a 911 dispatcher and a mechanic. 5 of those positions we're receiving applications for. The mechanic, we're struggling with that one, of course, but always keeping our hopes and dreams alive for that one. But we are receiving a lot of applications for the other positions that we have. That is very good news to see the people interested in the jobs here. And then the only other thing I had is I've started working with certain departments on their staffing requests for the next fiscal year. Just getting with it. A lot of it is very preliminary at this stage. What are you needing? Tell me more about it. We'll then go into the whole, the STAR analysis to find out what the value is to the county, figure out what the cost would be, and get that information so that they can take it through the budget process. So anyway, early on, but that's what's going on right now.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Director Wilcox. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just so the stuff that I'm working on right now, I did go down to the IT directors meeting at the IAC the other week.
You did go. Oh, good.
Yep. So it's always good to get together with those folks and talk about things.
So I'm curious because I haven't followed up on it, but we were introduced to a new cybersecurity team that was going to involve INEL, the National Guard, and the state. They were setting up a division of cybersecurity.
Yeah,
Talk about that at all?
yeah, they've been trying to get something going with that for a couple of years now. Using the national, because the National Guard has like a division that does like IT stuff, and so the idea was to help out, especially some of the more smaller, more rural counties, maybe can't afford fancy, companies to come in and do stuff, that they would train those folks up and be available to come in and do stuff. And so it's a program that they've been trying to do for a couple of years now, kind of get off the ground. And I did find out at this the other week that that division that is sort of overseeing and trying to get that going, there's been some staffing changes, and so we're kind of waiting to see if it's going to keep going or if resources get diverted. So it's just one of those things.
Sounded like a good program.
Yeah, it would be if they can get it up and going for sure. I know the whatever. I know that the Amerititle building, it's coming up pretty quick. Like I've said before, just to make sure it doesn't get forgotten. I can't really do anything or see what I'm dealing with until those folks are out and I can get in and get a good look. And I know it sounds like I had thought that there was that we were just gonna, that the plan was gonna be to kind of do some quick partitioning and whatever, but it sounds like that might have changed. There might be some more formal construction happening.
So we just 2 weeks ago hired the architect, or maybe even last week, hired the architect to work on it, Erstad. So as soon as we hear back from them, they were doing construction drawings. So as soon as we see those construction drawings, then we'll get them to you.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit longer than what we had hoped to be able to do all of it. But I can't remember if I have Cameron on to come and talk or not. But if not, we could get an update as soon as they can get construction drawings. That's kind of what we're waiting on.
Okay.
He kind of had a preliminary idea set up already, so it shouldn't take him very long.
Yeah.
We haven't heard from Mayor Title if they're still February 28th, they're gone.
I'm gonna
Right,
We
yeah.
assume that they will be.
And when I get the plans, because we have, we'll have to get the vendor, when, if you're gonna frame in any doors to kind of route traffic, then we gotta decide which one of those are gonna have card access and those sorts of things, and then I'll be able to get the vendors lined up to hopefully get that all done and installed.
We had a discussion yet about whether we're going to put security up there going in and out of that building.
haven't finalized anything. We ask. At one point in time, we had them put a magnetometer into the doorway frame, but we haven't completed that. We've got to talk to the sheriff about that and see what can be done.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, Clearwater is scheduled to make a presentation to the Commissioners on February 24th.
Last month, okay. Awesome.
You're probably aware, I'm sure that Clerk Miller has given you updates on the Supreme Court's efforts to kind of take over all of their equipment. They did come up the other week, third week, no, it was the same week as the IAC conference, actually. To install some new equipment and migrate all the Supreme Court emails to idcourts.gov or whatever, and then install some equipment in preparation for their move over to to their own network. So I spent quite a bit of time with them getting all that set up. And then other than that, just continue to work on some of the stuff that I still have out there. We do have the laptops for the various folks that requested them, and I apologize. I know some of them are getting frustrated. It's taking a little bit of time, but I decided to take the time now because Windows 10 is end of life at the end of the year. They're not going to be updating it anymore, so we got to migrate to Windows 11. So we've been working on getting our infrastructure up and going to get that and be able to get that installed easily and consistently. So that's why it's taken a few more weeks than maybe some folks had hoped, but we're getting very close to getting those set up and out the door. So
And what about the question about those
Where are we?
cell phones?
Oh, Neil is still showing a cell phone on the billing. So I asked Rita to talk to you about if that has been given to somebody else to make sure that we're charging those phones correctly. So Rita will be talking to you about cell phones.
yeah, okay. Usually, if somebody decides not to use a phone, I'll keep the phone because it's a perfectly fine phone. But we'll cancel the line. There's no reason to pay that.
We need to make sure.
You know what? So the only thing that we can do is cancel the line. The phones are typically bought on contract, which gives us a much lower government rate. But the problem is we still have to pay for the phone over the course of a year. So
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is until that year is up.
If it was given to somebody else, just make sure that it's being charged to the correct divisions. We don't just let it ride there.
Okay.
So just talk to Rita to make sure that that's everything. is-
Okay. So it's actually not something that's ever come up and I haven't even thought about it. So I'm up to Clerk Miller if something like that happens and we, buy a phone for somebody and they decide they don't want it, but we still have to pay that.
If the
Year
phone
of-
has been given to somebody else, a different department.
Right, but if it hasn't, then I don't know if we want to create a line item for kind of, I don't know, those kinds of phones are just kind of sitting there or what, but
Half dozen one or the other on that one. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that, we aren't paying for lines we're not using, most importantly. But. And then CAI, are you still working on getting building department their stuff? We can't get some numbers without that CAI.
which numbers? I gave them a full dump of every permit in the database. So if there's anything missing or if they need anything else, I haven't been asked for it.
Sounds like you and Annette need to visit. 'Cause we were looking for numbers as far as year-to-date, number of permits from last year. So would they have the information?
I sent them a spreadsheet. There's no automated way to do that. All they can do is, the spreadsheet should have the date in it and they should just be able to count.
And then where are we at on demos for that? I call it development services
Yeah,
software, but
it was an email that myself, Cinda, and Annette got for, I can't remember the name of the vendor, to look at theirs. So we'll do that, and I'm waiting for some responses from some others to try and set up some dates to look at some of those other ones that are out there.
they're both slow right now. So right now is the best time to do demos and try and get something in place if we're gonna do that before they get busy again.
Okay.
We've been working on it a bit, so
Yeah.
let's try and get that one done. Anything else for us?
That's all I got, unless you have any other questions.
All good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Director Herrick.
Hello.
Morning.
So we're really busy. Last week I participated in the Valley Soil Water Conservation District meeting, and one of their questions was about the TMDL on Lake Cascade and also requirement for NP studies. So I sent an email to Mike Reno with Central District Health and Lance Holloway with DEQ. And Mike responded back on the NP studies, so I'm still waiting on a response from Lance for the TMDL. I mean, it's been a long time since they educated the P&Z Commission or the Board of County Commissioners on the TMDL. And who's in charge of that, how do we decrease that TMDL? So as soon as I get something back from him, I would look forward to some sort of an education for the P&Z and the board. Because it's been a long time.
I understand, if you're talking to Lance, I understand they just reinstituted the WAG in McCall on Payette Lake. We haven't been notified of that. I thought they had to have a commissioner on a WAG, but maybe not. Water Advisory Group.
Right. That's a state statute thing. Let's see. I'll ask him. So I did send you an email of that response from Mike Reno on the NP studies, and basically and just summarizing here, NP studies aren't required in Valley County because we aren't in an area of high nitrate. They would require it on a large absorption system. And so that was just kind of the summary of that one. And then the APA Commission, Agricultural Protection Area Commission, had their first meeting last Thursday. They went through the application and we kind of talked about the process, and they recommended a fee, and I will write a resolution for that. Their fee recommendation is $150. Because it just goes in front of them for a recommendation to the board, and the board has one public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where any funds would come in. So we have to adopt that fee by resolution. Continue to work on the comp plan. We're right there on the precipice of having everything fall together. I'm quite excited about that. I have had this box that for years I've just thrown things in it that, man, we need to, put this in there, we need to put this in there. And I'm almost to the bottom of that box. Just making sure that we have everything in that base document.
So when you do send it, what's the next process? What is the process for completing all of that?
The comp plan? Well, as soon as it's completed, written, we'll take it back to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
For public hearing?
Mhm.
Okay.
There'll be a public hearing at the P&Z level and also the Board of County Commissioners.
And then are we doing any outreach outside of those two meetings, or do we do?
Not that I'm aware of. We're not going to take it out to the public and, unless you want to have town hall meetings of some sort. But this is an update to it. This isn't a total rewrite. We did that when we did the rewrite.
I think if they just have notices for public hearings, if they're interested, they'll, as long as they have all that information, it's just a rewrite,
Yeah, and we'll go to 2 public hearings, so
Mm-hmm. Yep.
it's a refresh of
Yes.
we haven't changed the format or anything like that.
Any of us want to have a town hall meeting, that's your right to do that in the community you're. So,
You know, I'm kind of waiting on the determination by the board of what the impact areas are going to be, that type of thing, so we can include that in this. So there's a lot of things that are falling into place. And then we should have it wrapped up, I think, by next fall.
I thought in the packet that you sent us, there were some good comments from people that usually aren't at public hearings. So I think the word's getting out there that we are doing an update to it.
Oh, on the comp plan, yes.
So I appreciated all of those letters.
Oh, yeah, I saw some of those.
And then we are continuing to scan documents, you know, in between. I mean, I think Anna said she got like 40 new short-term rental permits or renewals in one day last week.
Or 40.
40. It's just, most of them were
That time of year.
renewals from Tamarack. Because we've tried to slot them so it's not so sporadic.
Right.
But in her other time, you know, so she can take a break, she's doing the scanning of, you know, the old minutes, the old agendas, sign inventories, that kind of thing. So we won't have to pack that stuff with us when we make our big move. Okay, anything for me?
I think so.
Nope. Good.
Join in at that 1:30. I'm not exactly certain what that'll look like, but we'll just get started early on it.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Cinda.
Dave, are you gonna report for Larry?
I believe Larry emailed you guys some comments about what he had working on, or what he was working on today.
He just said he had surgery and
Yep, he's home recovering. He was very optimistic that he would be here this morning, but that optimism was ill-founded. So he did call me this morning and just let me know he wouldn't make it. I think the only thing we have going on that you guys should be aware of is our Challenger is down again. Same problem we had last time. That's the machine that we use on a Warren wagon.
brand new.
So parts are being ordered from Germany this time.
Oh, good land.
Germany.
So we're not grooming at all then, or?
No, we're using the cat instead of the big machine, which is not as efficient, and they'll still be out, but that's a big hit on the program right now. I do have an action item for you guys, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on it. So this is the LTAC grant that we got for phase 1 of Sampson Trail, which was $250,000. We've been awarded another $250,000 grant from LTAC for phase 2. And I think if you guys remember, we signed an agreement or a grant application last week for the IDPR grants that we were hoping would make up the other $250,000 for this project. And we just found out that LTAC funding is not appropriate for a match for the IDPR funds.
Oh.
So we have $250,000 for this project that was bid out at $501,000. Our goal is to see, one, what the status on the storage units is at the corner of Elo, because one of the conditions of approval was to build a pathway through that property.
Mm-hmm.
If that looks like it's going to be a relatively quick process, then we may be able to achieve most of the rest of the project with the money that we have on hand. If not, what we're planning on doing is using the $250,000 to start at Elo and work as far south as we can. And we do have a natural break down there. There's a crosswalk about 2/3 of the way down Sampson Trail towards Pearson, and that would be a good place to stop with the money that we have right now. So just wanted you guys to be aware of that. That was kind of a big
Bummer.
disappointment after we thought we had that grant finalized. We got this agreement from LTAC, and one of the sidebars was cannot be used for match. So
So we don't need any match for the other one though?
no, this is just an award.
Okay.
So we do have this money coming for $250,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting the LTAC money.
We are.
We just can't use that as the match for the other grant.
Right, which is
Okay, got
what
it.
we had hoped for. So, yeah, today we just have the LTAC agreement to sign and accept those dollars, and then we'll sit on that until we get the project going.
Well, do what we can do, I guess.
Exactly.
That sounds great.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve to sign the LTAC local agreement for 2024
Second.
pedestrian safety program.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Eventually, if we just keep working away at that one,
Right.
someday we can
Chipping
have
away.
a piece of equipment to actually, let's see.
So there's no other funding
Well,
source.
you remember we applied for the ORFAC funding and we're denied that funding. And they told us to apply for IDPR funding.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let us
Thanks,
know if you need
Dave.
anything else, and hopefully Larry's doing well and back at it shortly, so.
Hopefully.
Eye surgery.
Director Holovichuk.
Oh, you said it right.
That's terrible. Hey, you stay
I
away.
know. Good morning.
You two stay away from
I
me.
know. It's bad time right now. So right now I am working with BSU, the sheriff, and the emergency manager, and we're going to be doing an evacuation study of last year's season. Since we do better good and or what we do perfect. So really what residents think happened last year and basing future progress on that. So I think it's really normal because hopefully we'll never have a season like this again, but it could sheriff and the emergency manager and how that all went down.
Kamar, do they have, 'cause when people think, yeah, I'm watching California, disaster they had down there, but for our area, when you evacuate folks, do we have like a Red Cross area or something where these people can go that maybe don't have friends or another place to
A few places that were set up this last summer, and those are sheriff. I don't know exactly where those are at. Those are a case-by-case scenario, right? Because you might have to evacuate McCall instead of Cascade. So I do know that they have like predetermined areas.
So that's
Protocols.
yeah, that's something that really that could fall through the cracks. I mean,
So one does have that.
I was
It's
gonna
part
say.
of his protocol
Mhm.
that he can call in the American Red Cross if he needs it. This last, matter of fact, year before last, when we had all of these that called, we had a lot of people willing to house people and that type of thing. But he said, we've got it covered. The mayor here in Cascade actually worked with local churches, and the local churches opened up and created crisis centers. And so that's part of Juan's responsibility to bring in the needed resources. So he has all of those contacts, and they communicate on a regular basis to make sure that we have those protocols in place.
because I could see that as being one piece that could fall pretty critical when you tell somebody you got to leave your home.
Yeah.
And they're going, where am I going to take me and where am I going to take my pets?
It does seem like it went pretty smooth last year for how many evacuations that were submitted through Valley County.
The fairgrounds did open up,
Yep.
the fairgrounds for anybody that had animals, like large animals that needed to be housed. So I think that there's a pretty strong plan, but that would be a good question for Juan when he comes in.
Yeah.
So,
And it could be something that once we do all of this study, because we're hoping to get all of the study completed by the end of June. So right before fire season, we can come in and kind of do a little presentation, have BSU come in and do a presentation on basically what the output was, right? So I just think it's a phenomenal tool, right? To to learn. I think Valley County has done a phenomenal job with the outreach, putting things on social media, Code Red. I truly think what we've been doing here and the sheriff and the emergency manager have created is what every county needs to be. But the only way to know if it's adequate enough is actually to do studies.
And Dr.
So-
Brand she's doing this for the state of Idaho.
Yep.
But she couldn't specifically make it state Valley County, but she's using Valley County in her research as the area
Yep.
to look at, so. One question, so we did have somebody reach out last week, and they live off Warren Wagon, and
Yep.
questioning, the exit points, if you will, from that. And so as we make our way through this, and each one of these regions put a code on them, if you will, you live in, section G or H or whatever it is, we're gonna do the whole county,
Correct.
correct?
Yep,
So
and
they
that
will-
is another task that Juan is going to be having with the fire working group, the lands committee, is to basically zone out the whole county, basically like how Cascade already is. So we have that pre-identified prior to any event, whether it's wildfire or flooding or anything like that. So that is one of the tasks to have done this spring as well.
Okay.
So there's that. We're also working with the lands committee and creating maps showing all like the wildfire projects, mitigation projects that are being conducted on Forest Service ground, the All Lands Partnership, Valley County. So we're trying just to get one cohesive map created so that we all know where each other are working. So when we do have an event like this, basically we can pull up that map and say, we can hold something here on this line because we have this much work already conducted. So that is. We're also starting to update the CWPP. So we're trying to get that done by October, is to get that finalized before the next fiscal grant season. So there's that as well. And then,
CWPP?
yeah, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. So that needs to be updated every 10 years, is actually the cycle, but we are going to be putting it as an chapter in the all hazard management plan. So we're going to be updating it every 5 years. And that's just to keep the projects up to date, keep the community well aware of what's being done on the ground and being able to check things off faster. And then it just makes it easier because most of the people that are updating the all hazard management plan are also helping update the CWPP. So instead of having different plans done at different times, Juan and myself have just decided to put them together to make it more unison and easier to keep track of.
Were you able to watch the presentation last week on the wildfire? I mean, we had talked about the process and who should be reviewing those subdivision
I did.
wildfire protection plans.
Yes,
you
and I need to
asked
meet
that
with
that
Cinda
come in-house.
afterwards. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that is an ordinance, so we will have to get that changed. And I know that in the legislation committee with the fire working group, we are getting that updated as of right now. So we will have to present that to P&Z Commission to get that changed in the ordinance.
Okay.
So, yep. And then the All Lands Partnership has done a regional committee to start basically prioritizing project areas. We are still in the middle of prioritizing the county and which are the project areas. So we're planning on meeting in March for that one as well.
That's those boys that had the 20 million.
Yep. So they're working within the 3 counties to be able to do work. Their goal is to be able to do 200 acres in each county to basically have like a demo site to get other larger landowners on board to do large fuel reduction work.
So they doing this on
Public land, or not,
On
it's
private
all
ground.
private land.
private
public.
ground.
It's all private ground. Yep.
Private ground.
Yep, and they're working collaboratively with the fire working group to kind of identify those areas to be able to put that and to get a unison message, because that's the biggest thing, right? Is having the landowners know that we're all working collaboratively to achieve the same goal.
Right.
Make sure when you know dates that you send them to me as soon as possible,
Okay.
so I can get them on my calendar.
Sounds good. I can do that. And then the last thing is my action plan. I do have a GNA.
Sign?
Yes, so my GNA reimbursement for the first quarter of this fiscal year, I am requesting $25,520.67.
Where's that gonna be used at?
So that's primarily my wage and then some miscellaneous right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's that G&A grant that's
Just
covering my
reimbursement
position
for,
5 years. And as of right now, that is not gonna be impacted by anything that's happening with all the fiscal changes and stuff like that. And as of right now, all the IDL grants aren't gonna be changed as well, but really yet to be determined on the big impact of all that, right?
the original 500 grand that we started with. Is the Forest Service gonna ever have any more, or is this just a one-time thing with them?
The goal was to have more, obviously.
Sure.
But now, with new administration, that is really yet to be determined.
Could be on hold, who
Could
knows?
be, Yep.
That needs to be part of our conversation in DC, is that we're discussing this, that with our congressionals, this is the way to actually do this work. Having the Forest Service do it is not, it's just not getting us anywhere per our conversation with Russ Fulcher. And so bringing these GNAs in and allowing the locals to do the work is really the way to do it.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it does, I mean, it allows it to not go through NEPA. And all my work's done on private ground, right? Where the state is doing work on federal ground. So that helps that way of getting some of that work done on public ground faster.
And after, with the new administration, if you look at what they're really focused on, it's to help people through these wildfire mitigation efforts. So I'm going to be surprised if that's not the way they direct these funds,
Mhm.
is to the individuals that can actually get the work done.
And with that, I'm also applying for a couple grants as well this fiscal year. So in March 7th is the due date, but I'm planning on applying for two different ones, a $500,000 one and a $240,000 one to help implement more on the ground. Yep.
Perfect. Right, do I hear a motion to approve the Good Neighbor Authority?
I would move to approve the Good Neighbor Authority reimbursement request.
Second of that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
So you have this, did you go in and get your antibiotic?
No, I'm afraid of antibiotics.
I went in and got mine on Tuesday because I couldn't shake it. I tried for 4 days and I said, okay, I'm done. Went in, got a Z-Pack, and
Yeah.
it knocked it by Friday. I was done. It was over.
Last time I took antibiotics, I was in the ER for 4 days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's C. diff, so I'm a little nervous to
Yeah.
take anything. And that was for the ear infection. Right after I had my interview for this job, I went into the ER 2 days later.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't take very many antibiotics either, so I'm really sensitive.
Yeah.
about that.
Any questions? No? Oh, and I forgot to actually mention that our Firewise grants are open. So those open February 1st and they close April 15th. So we have that $50,000 allocated to help private landowners that aren't in those project areas. Kind of the goal is to get some of those that aren't in project areas to be able to get some work done on their property. That can range anywhere from a smaller project where they're just hardening their home, so they're getting some Firewise plant material and hardening their home. Most of the people that apply, it's typically fuels reduction that their end goal is. But that is a 50-50 match, so the landowner pays all of it out of pocket and then receives that reimbursement once our fire inspectors go out there and make sure that it's actually Firewise.
We just had a big dinner in our subdivision and I brought this up and they're all interested.
Nice.
But my son has dump trailers, so we wouldn't have to do that, and we would probably start the work at least ourselves. There's a few people younger than I am that might be able to do some of it. So do we have to hire an outside?
So that's a recommended output because we do have some contractors that actually know what that end goal is of fire mitigation. So it makes the process a lot smoother, right? But we do have some communities that will apply for these grants and they conduct the work themselves. So it can help with some of the fuel, some of the dump loads, because once you get those big dump trucks, you have to pay for that. So you can't do it that way. You just have to keep track of your time. So it is a cost. You do have to have so much hours to be able to pay for that indirect cost, basically. But it is recommended, and most people hire contractors.
So do you go in there and you kind of give them an estimate of what this is going to cost to do
I
your
mean,
lot?
they, as the landowner, need to call the contractors to get that estimate.
Oh, okay.
Because it just depends on what they're wanting to do.
So you're out of the picture when it comes to that.
I mean, even with my large grants, I'm still it's basically whatever that contractor's going to bid, right? So it's highly recommended for them to get contractors come out, look at it. And if they think that they can do their work cheaper, they can get more done and more accomplished, right? But most people, like I said, like to hire contractors.
Okay.
We do
you
have-
inspect it? Isn't that
Yep.
part of your job though?
Yep. So we have a board of Firewise inspectors. There's 5 of us that will be issued to each landowner. We go out there prior to them receiving the award, basically look over their project during and then at the end, so that we're there during the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to make sure that that work is actually being Firewise, right?
Yeah, what the money's going for gets
Yep.
done.
Yep. And then there's before and after photos required, all of that fun stuff. So,
Can't just go out and force, take a picture and come back and say,
no,
So
because
look
we
like-
come out and inspect it, so this has been going on for quite a few years, so it's actually really dialed now, so, yeah. And it seems like a lot of landowners understand the end outcome too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this being our last meeting until 10:30. Clerk Miller, if you will.
Feeling better.